Welcome to my channel, God, Man, and Money series. In this series, I want to speak to you about a simple definition of investment. And I want to weave that into a story about someone who has just emerged on the international scene. And that person is is Nigeria's president-elect, Mr. Tinubu. Before I proceed, I want to invite you to join me on this journey about investment religiously, about investing religiously, and about investment education. These two things constitute an area that the majority of us either are negligent about, or we have a lot of assumptions that are incorrect. So I want to give a shout out to those of you, my listeners, who have subscribed to my channel. And particularly, I want to give a shout out to the young brother that I met at my local Walmart store. And he said to me, "Brother, you're giving good education." I take that as an encouragement for me to get to that stage where we will all can see that this channel has contributed to our understanding of investment, and it has answered some of the issues that religious people may have about it. So, what's my simple definition of investment? It's going to about 3 years since I've been on this journey, not just putting a little bit of money from time to time into the stock market, but spending a lot of time learning. And I did mention something about that before. So I'm going to give you my simple definition of investment, which is going to derive from my background, from my educational background in the study of languages, particularly in the study of Arabic language. A few decades ago, my instructors defined the Arabic verb for me. And it contains, or it consists in two things, which is called hadath, occurrence of an event, and zaman, time, relative to time. So an Arabic verb will tell you that something happens, and it happens in a particular time. Perhaps verb in any language could be defined similarly. So why am I transferring this into my definition of investment? Is because from all that I've learned and from all that has been shared with me by experts, investment can actually be reduced to two things. What are those two things? One, money. And money can be cash. When you define money economically, you're talking about capital. You're not talking about the hard cash or liquidity itself. but you're talking about anything that functions similarly. And that's why the economists define capital for us in terms of money, machine, and land, and so on. So money is essential. It's one of those two key elements for a successful investment. And we often misunderstand the role of money in investment, thinking that it requires a lot of money. And maybe like myself, you've heard about people saying that only the rich people invest in the stock market. Nothing can be untrue as worse than that. So it's a bit of money now and then. And as a matter of fact, the experts tell us that don't invest in the stock market more than you can afford to lose. I'm going to explain. That's scary for us sometimes to hear, but I'm going to probably find time later to explain what they mean by that. But the point should not be lost to you, my listeners. It's not a lot of money. It's a little bit of money that is put here in the market over time. Therefore, that leads us to the second element of successful investing. The other thing is time. Rome is not built in one day. And Warren Buffett did not emerge as the most successful investor in America and in the world, amassing hundreds of billions of dollars just through investing and related activities. But when you look at Warren Buffett, he's been on this journey maybe for as long as many of us have been around, for 30, 40, 50 years or more. So the two key elements of successful investment is money and time. And if you like, you can rephrase it as a time and money. It won't hurt. So the second thing is that I want to weave this into a story about Mr. Ahmed Tinubu. I'm going to touch on 2 or 3 aspects of his life, and information about this is available publicly. So first of all, he was in the United States of America, and he attended a college or a university in Chicago and lived there. And he was here perhaps from late 80s, but by the mid 90s, records confirmed that he was settled here, pursuing a course of education and working with some companies or corporations. And that's the first note that I want to emphasize here. What kind of education did he pursue? And how does what can we learn about his education or from his education? Records show that he pursued a course of study in accounting or in business studies. I tend to consider information about him studying business studies or business education to be more better verified. So, and after or along that line also, records also show that he ended up having a career or having a job with some of the leading American corporations. The most notable of these is ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil. That's a conglomerate oil company that has been in existence for quite some time. And a lot of American leaders, like the Bush family, they are also associated with this company. And the majority of the people that invested in oil and gas or in energy, the old energy, as I'm now referring to it, they are also known to be involved in these things. So how could so then the third point is that a friend of mine and a member of my inner circle told me that President-elect Mr. Ahmed Tinubu was interviewed, probably in Nigeria or probably in the United States of America or elsewhere. How did he acquire his wealth? From what source or sources? And he said that he invested his money in the stock market and in some of the best companies or businesses in the world. And he did that over a long period of time. Well, this piece of information for me, I'm going to take it and run with it. It doesn't require rigorous verification. Why? Because there is what you might call evidentiary fact about it. There are things that you can put together that might corroborate or tend to suggest that it's probably true. That's all I need to work with. If you live in Chicago and you study business education and you work for a oil company as an accountant, to associate yourself with the stock market shouldn't be something that you need to be surprised about. Although it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be true 100%. So, but what I want to talk about here before I move on is that the kind of education we pursue, the environment in which we pursue it, the kind of personality that we build for ourselves, and the ambitions and the aspirations and the exposure can be a contributor to the kind of pursuit or success that we may make. Don't forget the Quranic reference that I gave us before. Whoever strives towards something, Allah, God the Almighty, will often make it possible for him to achieve something in that direction. And whoever strives to attain worldly things and they make their best effort, God says that he's going to grant whomever he wills as much as he wills. And similarly, the efforts that we make for the hereafter, for our religious, for righteousness. The second point that I want to talk about here is that if you don't become stuck to your profession, to your own specialization, to your own field of specialization and course of study. For example, if you study engineering, or you study medicine, or you study law, these are top-notch, can lead you to top-notch careers. But your exposure or your experience or your education about investing may not be that much, because you already been pursuing a course of study in medicine. You're going to become one of the top professionals. You're going to have one of the best paid the best paying jobs or become one of the best paid professionals, you may not care much about investing. But you may be a gas attendant like one of my instructors, Jeremy, of the financial education. When he started his investment journey, he was a gas attendant. I don't know if he had a degree then or whatever. And he started slowly working his way into the stock market. And he's now relatively, you can see, rich, popular, has his own channel, has his investment has turned out a lot of profit for him. So let's not look at investment education as something that we cannot, as a journey that we cannot start at any time. As a matter of fact, investment is also about experience and about going into the market, going through the ups and downs of the market and doing it slowly. It's not a place for getting rich quick. Even though in the stock market we do learn survival skills. Survival skills are the skills that enable us to trade, to day trade, to swing trade, to use advanced strategies, investment strategies to survive in options of all kinds. But all of these do not necessarily constitute investing or investment. Investment is something that you work on, you put your money in, you learn more about it. If you fail, if you fall, you get back up. If you lose money, you know what paper loss is versus real loss, and all of those things. So this is something that I really want to share. What kind of investments could he have? What kind of companies could he have invested his money in the 90s and in the 2000s? Remember this was the time of the dot-com bubble. And if you invested in Apple at that time with some amount of money, I don't want to mention a specific amount, but any amount that you may consider to be small or big, somebody like an accountant, a treasurer of a ExxonMobil could afford it. Whether you think about thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars on a continuous basis, he could afford it at that time. And if you have done something like that for as long as he did it, to say that you invested your money in the stock market and that's where you have made your money from could possibly be true. I'm not saying that or trying to say that all of his money, all of his wealth may have or must have come from. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that he had the access to the right education, and he took the advantage of it, and therefore he could have been one of the things that helped him to be who he is now. And you have to remember that politics, especially in the third world, is like it requires a lot of money, and it's also like another type of investment in its own. And those who have money in those countries, they are the people that are likely to have power. And when power and money become combined, you know what the outcome can be. So for the religious investors, the lesson that we learn from this is about patience, is about consistency, and is about knowing what we are doing, making sure that it is legit, and bearing with time, and doing it consistently. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Bye-bye.